What's going on, everybody? My name is Tech, and for 15 years I was the #1 seller of pre-owned men's clothing on eBay. But today we are in Arizona. We're at the Grand Canyon. It snowed last night. This is the first time that I've ever seen snow. This is Eagle Point. You see a little eagle right there. These are the wings. It's very beautiful over here. On Thursday, I like to come with the quick hitter. On Monday, we do the flea market world domination videos. On Wednesday night, I do the live open Q&A. And then on Friday, I do the podcast, which is a little bit long form, sometimes with a guest. But today's quick hitter video is, I came out here to Las Vegas for this week to help somebody with like a speaking arrangement at some kind of convention that, you know, helps a lot of people. They're good people, so I'm happy to come out here and help as many people as possible. As you guys know, that is the mission for the channel. And while I was out here, I spoke to a couple of people. One guy, he joined the group about 6 years ago, back in 2019, and he was doing $30,000 a year in sales, and now he does $1 million a year in sales. And very, very proud of that guy. He's come a very long way. He's had to recreate his business a couple of times, but he's absolutely finding immense success. And then also while I was here, there was kind of like an Amazon convention or a reverse logistics convention, which is just a fancy way to say liquidation. So I came out here, and one of the guys from the group was here. He does about $50 million a year, and he's the largest seller that I've ever spoke to personally. And whenever I do get a chance to talk to someone that is a little bit larger than me, I always try to ask as many questions as I can. Get my notebook out, get my pencil out, and just mentally try to remember everything that they say. And you know, we were talking a lot about the future of reselling, about AI, about things like that, and you know, a lot of the thesis that I put forward here on the channel about everything that's going to happen, so on and so forth. You know, the dangers of things to come, or the risks of things to come. He was in agreement with everything. So it's good that the advice that I am giving here, that even sellers that are much larger, running much bigger businesses with 90 employees, are on the same page and thinking about the same things that we talk about here every single day. Kind of what I wanted to talk about today in this beautiful place here up the Grand Canyon is, what is your value add to the business? What is your skill to the business? And I spent a lot of time talking with, you know, this guy who runs a $50 million business. Like, his business is not selling stuff on eBay. His business is not selling stuff on Amazon. His business is the refurbishment of the items that he does get through various channels, such as, you know, eBay, Amazon, flea markets, garage sales, liquidation companies, so on and so forth. But his business is not just flipping items from eBay to Amazon, or just flipping items from thrift store to eBay or Amazon. His business is in the fixing and the refurbishing part of what we do. And he said, and I agree with that, if your business is just flipping items from thrift store to eBay, flipping items from thrift store to Amazon, that it's pretty low-hanging fruit, and those are going to be the first businesses to go. Where if you do have some sort of skill, some sort of service, those companies are going to last much longer. So as innovation and technology comes in, the lower the hanging fruit, the easier it is for the technology and the apps and the AI will be to replace that. Where it's going to be much more difficult to replace, you know, refurbishing, recycling, a value add. Even the Grand Canyon, they have a value add. You come out here, the Native American tribe that's in charge of this, they have the skywalk, where they charge you like $75 to walk on it. Whereas if you just come out here, like, this is free. So their value add is, you want to come out here, but anyone can come out here. You can go to any part of the Grand Canyon, and you can walk right over here to the edge if you want to. Whereas here, when you come here, their value add, or their skill, is the skywalk. And you know, like, they charge another $50, $75 for the skywalk, but that's how they make their money. You have to figure out, like, what is your skill? How do you make your business better? And is your business just getting something from the thrift store, or getting something from a garage sale, or getting something from a thrift? If so, this business is going to be much more easier to replace what you do than, let's just say, for example, what this company is doing about refurbishing electronics, so on and so forth. Where I think for me, the thing that I do, or the value add that I have, is that I have figured out how to get thousands of pieces of profitable inventory every single day And for me, that's what I've built my company on now. So before, my company was built on finding stuff from the flea market, garage sale, thrift store, so on and so forth. Where now my company is built on the relationships and the acquisition of product that is highly valuable for eBay. So you have to figure out what is going to be your value add for the business, and you can't have a business forever that is just going to be running from the thrift store and going to the garage sale, because if you do, it's going to be very easy to outsource, because as we all know, the AI is going to be there, the technology is going to be there, the software is going to be there. And if you have no value add, how do you stay in business? So that's the kind of things that we have to think about. That's the kind of things that we have to talk about. And that's the kind of things that we have to start implementing now. Because if we think that we can just continue to build a business going forward, that is just about going to flea markets, just about going to thrift stores, just about going to garage sales, as it becomes easier to list with software, with more technology, as Google Lens gets better, the technology is always going to eat away at the easiest tasks until it can start to level up. So if you can have some kind of skill of refurbishing, that will help you. If you can have some kind of skill of developing relationships and people skills, that will help you, because the lowest of the hanging fruit will always be eaten up, because it's the least amount of barrier to entry. And I can recall a bunch of low-hanging fruit that used to be good that are not good anymore. One of the lowest hanging fruits of my reselling career was, once upon a time, and if you remember, the Impossible Project or Cream City cameras, they used to purchase every single Polaroid camera that you would put onto eBay for huge money. And it didn't matter which one it was, it didn't matter what condition it was in. If you listed it, it would sell immediately. And you can find those in thrift stores, garage sales, flea markets for $10, and you can turn around and sell them for $25, $30, $40, $50 on eBay, and they would sell immediately. That was a very low-hanging fruit until a lot of people started getting put on, and then it wasn't as easy to buy those items and put them on eBay. But for a good while, you can make good profit on it. So like what we all do, where we have these select designated areas where we can walk into an air-conditioned place under air-conditioned comfort, and the doors swing open for you automatically, and trumpets play and angels sing, and they actually present you willingly with profitable inventory. These places are going to get smarter. These places are going to get better. These places are going to start putting these things online themselves. They're going to start redeploying part of their workforce into much more of the online presence, where maybe the physical footprint starts to go down, especially as real estate goes up, because when real estate goes up, rent goes up. So every single time they want to acquire a new footprint or a new place to have a physical location, every single time that the value of real estate goes up, the value of their rent goes up. So they have to fight that as well. They need to fight labor going up. Some of the biggest takeaways from that conversation that I had with the very large seller, just finding stuff under market and then putting it onto the platform. We're going to have to all do better than that. And I know that we don't want to hear that, but we're going to have to do better than that. We're going to have to figure out some kind of service, or we're going to have to figure out some kind of value add. So figure out what your service is and figure out what your value add could be. And maybe you don't know it right now, but we have to work towards this, because if our whole entire business model is just finding stuff underpriced at a flea market or garage sale and putting it online, the margins are going to shrink there. So for this particular person's business, they are doing that plus something else. What can we do and what can we add to our business and our process that separates us from everybody else? If we are doing what everybody else is doing, then we're going to get the same results as everybody else. And if we want to have extraordinary results, then we have to put forth extraordinary effort, and we can't do what everybody else was doing. So a large part of my career, the things that I was doing, like nobody else was doing. Nobody else was listing 100 items a day. Nobody else was networking and having the relationships and the capacity that I was, 5+ years ago. No one else is trying to build a business of eBayable quality inventory that is cheaper than the thrift store that is already washed, zip, button, and prepped, delivered to the door. So if you want to have extraordinary results, you have to put forth extraordinary effort. If you want to do the bare minimum, you're going to get the minimum results, and everybody could do the bare minimum. So when I was listing 120 a day, that I got extraordinary results because I was putting forth the extraordinary effort. When I am trying to get up to 25,000 pieces per day, that is extraordinary effort. So when I do get there, the result will be extraordinary. When I keep setting up new hubs in different parts of the country, we have one in Florida, which is the main hub. We have one more towards the West Coast, and then we have one more towards a centralized place in the United States, on a mission to get 4,000 pieces per day. And the value add that my business wants to have in the wholesale portion of it is I want to be able to provide eBayable quality inventory where a lot of people have access to clothes. Having access to clothes is easy, but having access to good clothes, eBayable clothes that actually sells on eBay, the actual good stuff, like a rag house doesn't always know that. A rag house just knows clothes and that's their business, but they don't know eBayable clothes in the way that I do. So that's my value add to the business. Another one of the value adds that I have for my business is that I want to be able to do 25,000 pieces per day, which right now we're at 4,000 pieces of clothing. We do a few thousand hats per week, and then we do several thousand pairs of jeans, but the jeans is separate. But eBayable, just mixture of clothing, whether it be sweaters, jackets, shirts, pants, shorts. I want to get up to 25,000 pieces per day for that. And my value add to that industry and what I'm trying to do is I want to make sure that I can get 25,000 pieces a day that is washed, zip, buttoned, and prepped to your door cheaper than you can go to a thrift store. And I think if I can do that, that will be an extraordinary value add, and it comes with extraordinary effort, and the payoff will also be extraordinary. For me, that's my value add. That's what I am adding to the business, where it's not just grabbing something from a flea market and putting it online. Before, 10, 20 years ago, that was a great value add. That was something else. That was a skill where you can find something at a flea market locally, put it online. Putting it online was the value add, but I think going forward, going to go up another notch, because just the value add of finding something locally and putting it for sale worldwide, I think that we're going to have to do better than that, because it's become saturated and everybody could do that. So like this other person, they can find something, they can put it online, but they can also repair, improve, refurbish, and make it better. That's their value add. Where the people who can't repair it, who can't do it in the scale that they can, who don't have the expertise or the standard operating procedure, they're not going to be able to compete with this company, because they already have years in the game and processes built up and tens of employees. So now's our time. Like I keep saying it, and literally screaming it from the mountaintops here, as I told you I would. And if this message goes out and helps somebody, then it's mission accomplished. But we have to figure out something up and beyond what we're doing, because what we're doing, the clock is ticking on it. The value add of taking something locally and putting it online, it's not enough of a value add going forward. We're going to start to see decreasing and diminishing returns with that. We need to develop some kind of skill or do something a little bit better on top, in addition to just finding something in one place and putting it into another. I hope everybody has enjoyed the view. I hope everybody has enjoyed the video. I hope the words help somebody out there. I just want to help one person. We don't have to help everybody, but we just got to help one. So I appreciate everybody. As always, be great. Thank you.